Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I just wanted to hop in real quick and elaborate on the post I did, what was that, on Friday, just a couple days ago, right before the weekend. Just want to elaborate on that concept of, what was it? Let's see here. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I love that. I love that concept. So I just want to elaborate on that. Got that from the military. I forget which branch of the military, one of the special forces units, use that concept as a reminder and kind of a guideline to how they do things, how they operate and go through their protocols. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And a little bit of housekeeping first, I guess. My name is Vernon Speller. I am a business consultant, life coach with Dial Mastery. And I am just sharing a little bit of information, opening up my social media game, if you will, expanding a little bit, and doing these videos. This is my second one, and I'm going to try to be brief here, share this concept, and I want to highlight one thing in particular. I want to say there's a list of about 7 things that I put on that post, and I want to highlight number 3. Practice mindful time management. I want to highlight that. And I'm trying something different today. As you can see my surroundings. I'm outside, and then you can probably hear the birds in the background. So got the birds going. It's a beautiful summer day. So we're going to try this outside thing. Hopefully my sound is good. I'll check it in a minute, make sure. But trying a little something different. Change it up a little bit, give you all some different looks. But let me jump right into it so I can keep this video relatively brief. All right, so slow is fast, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. All right, and then jumping in, I'll run through these real quick, the 7. So number 1 is prioritize and delegate. Number 2, embrace the power of rest. Number 3, that's the one we'll talk about today, practice mindful time management. Number 4, cultivate a growth mindset. Number 5, build strong relationships. Number 6, leverage technology wisely. And number 7, celebrate progress and practice gratitude. And if you'll notice, the way I'm categorizing all of them except for that number 3 one, those other 6 are around mindset, getting your thinking, the proper thinking, which is key, which is the beginning, that's the start, right? Get your thinking correct so that you can get the habits and the actions in alignment. But if your thinking is off, your habits, your actions will also be off. So you want to start with that mindset. And then the supporting activities. So if you look at those 6 as well, those are supporting activities to the actions, the habits that you're forming, and which come down to that number 3. Number 3 is the actual habits, the actual actions that you're actually taking. And that's what I want to talk about today, but I just wanted to emphasize that the other 6 are extremely important and really the groundwork and the create the foundation and the support system of the actions that you're actually going to be taking in terms of operating at a high level of productivity and being optimally effective in whatever you're doing, whether it's the work that you're doing, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your in fitness. And I'm going to use some examples. Again, I love using sports analogies, so I have some sports examples I want to talk about here. So let me get into number 3. What is number 3? Practicing mindful management, time management. And I really like to say, instead of time, first and foremost, this is a mindset shift I like to give my clients, and me and my business partner Mike really focus on in terms of time. We think of it more in terms of priority. Managing your priority. What is priority? And notice I'm saying singular priority. Originally, priority was a singular word. There was no plural for priority. And the reason for that is, the reality is, if you have multiple priorities, you don't really have a priority. You just have multiple tasks that you're working on. Priority, the actual meaning of priority means that you have one thing that you are focused on. And that's going to be a key theme in what we're talking about here. You have one thing. So instead of practicing mindful time management, which you can't really manage time, there's really nothing we can do with time. But what we can manage is our own activity and what we are focused on and what we prioritize. That we can manage. Time is going to do what it's going to do. Short of the theory of relativity and doing something the speed of light or whatever, we can't really do too much about time. There's some other theories around that. There's a theory called Einstein time, and how we can actually, there's time dilation and where the perception of time differs. We'll talk about that in another video though. But in terms of this video, what we're focusing on is what we're prioritizing on, all right? And practicing mindful priority management. All right, I'll put that word priority there instead of time. So let's jump into this. So what is this? So breaking this down into 3 parts. So number 1, break your task into smaller chunks. So you get, what you're looking to do is not just break them down just arbitrarily. What you're doing is to break them down into smaller chunks so you can identify the one small task that is going to have a huge impact and really be the domino. And my business partner, Mike Lamuto, likes to love to talk about the domino effect, but it's really going to create that domino effect of this one small task is going to create a domino to help you to achieve your main goal, whether that's to increase your income, whether it's to increase your sales, whether it's to increase the engagement on a social media post, or whatever the case may be, whatever your goal is. But you want to identify, okay, what is the main task I need to identify that I need to get done, whether it's on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, but this one task that is going to be the catalyst for the other, my other goals and the other activities that I am looking to get done, or goals that I'm looking to reach, okay? And then number 3, once you have identified, so you're breaking your task into smaller chunks. Number 2, you're focusing on the one task, finding that one task that is going to have a huge effect on your ultimate goal. And then number 3, set realistic deadlines, okay? And one of the things you want to look at with this, one of the mindsets you want to have is keeping in mind what's called the Parkinson principle. And to paraphrase this, put in short, Parkinson principle is that the amount of time it takes to accomplish something will expand or contract depending upon the amount of time that you give yourself to get it done. Okay? So for example, I have a sales goal, I have a project that I'm working on, and I say it's going to take me a month to get this project done. I'll give myself a month, and I set out on my project, I set out on my task, and I'm getting my task done. It will generally take me roughly about a month. You can take that same project, and person B says, I'm going to accomplish this project in 1 week. They'll set their task, and they'll create they'll get it done. Basically, it's amazing. They'll get that project done in a week. The reason we know this is true, we can make just a practical example of this, is in school. I know for example, myself, I had a bad habit, especially in grade school. I learned to get out of this in college, but in grade school, I had the habit of waiting until the last minute. So this project that other people would start right away, and they'll break it up, say we have a month to get this project done, their term paper. They would get that term paper done, they'd break it into smaller tasks, and over that month, they would get that term paper done in a month. I would wait until the last week, sometimes even the last couple of days, but I would get my term paper done in that week or in that couple of days. Now, what I learned to do is in that first or second week, say I have a month to do something, in the first or second week, I would get the project done. What I learned to do later on, and what I strive to accomplish now, is get things done in the first, say, half amount of time. Say I have 30 days to do something. I try to get it done in the first 14 days. That's the goal. Get it done in the first 14 days. So then you're able to revise, make additions, make edits to the project in the next half of the time that you have to get it done. You can actually go back to or speak to your supervisor, or go back to, if you're working as a contractor, you can go back to your contract person who's contracting you and show them the draft of your project. And if they say, hey, I want you to do this differently, you have time to make those adjustments and actually achieve complete your project at a really high level. And that is a fantastic little hack there that I learned to do in school, and has worked wonders in working with clients going forward here. So that is a 3-step process. So what is this? Let me jump into this real quick. So a little bit of an example, and I'll just take a minute or so here. I want to keep this to about 10 minutes, so I'll take a little bit longer. So great example of this is something that inspired me. Me and my son today reminded me of this great example. Actually, me and my son over the last month or so, I guess. I think I mentioned this last time. Me and my son are playing in a basketball league I haven't played really competitive, especially organized ball in a while, but at least about 15 years, just competitively basketball. So I'm working to get back into it. My son, this is my oldest son, my 20-year-old, he is actually focused more in football. So he's more of a football player. He's 19, 19 years old. I keep saying he's 20. He's 19 years old, turning 20 this year, but he's more of a football player, and he hasn't really gotten into organized sports until just the last couple of years, really. So he's learning a kind of in a whole new way of playing basketball. He's played for fun, of course, before with friends at the park, but now he's learning in a more organized, learning organized basketball, playing in this league. And we approach, everything the way that we approach, our businesses. We take it very seriously. We want to do it at a high level. So we have practice sessions, and we are really working. But both of us he's working to develop new skills and learn organized basketball. I'm learning new skills as well, because my game is different. At the age I am now, I'm not 25, 20 years old anymore. So now I'm learning what I like to call the slow game. So, and that reminded me of the great example of what we're talking about today in terms of our concept today of slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That reminded me of Michael Jordan and watching him growing up. I grew up in Chicago, so I got a chance to see him. I think it was '86 when he came into the league. I was a young guy, elementary school back then, just getting into organized basketball, really learning organized basketball around that time. And I got a chance to see Michael Jordan play. He was really high speed, really acrobatic, highly creative, did multiple things. You never knew he was attacking you from multiple angles, and he might do this, he might do that, all sorts of amazing things. Every time he played basketball, just amazing things happening. You never knew what was going to happen. High level, high intensity, And then fast forward that into the 90s, he has years in the league. Father Time is undefeated. It starts to slow him down. He's not as fast. He's not, it's not the high-flying Air Jordan show as it was in the 80s. But he gets 6 championships. He made it wasn't just because of what I'm going to say here. There's multiple factors in that. But one of the things that he did, later in the 90s, one of the things he did, he really perfected a really specific move. And I won't get into great detail on it, but he really perfected a really specific move and a slower game. Slower pace, more controlled, more focused style of play, more of a team style of ball, even though he was still a highly skilled scorer, really skilled with the ball in his hands, but adjusted his game to more of a championship style of game, honestly, in my opinion, but also to adapt to his changing body type and his changing, abilities and what he could actually do on the floor, and developed what I like to call the slow game. And it's a great example of what we're talking about here, of slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So what he was able to do is develop this slow game, and particularly this fadeaway shot that he had, where he didn't have the same speed he had when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, whatever, in his youth. But because he worked on this craft, worked on this move so much in the off season and his practice time, that even though he wasn't physically as fast as when he was 20, that turnaround move and the fakes and the variations that he developed on that were so smooth that they were fast, relatively, and extremely effective, which is what we want. And that's a great example of what we're talking about. And I'll flip this into business real quick and I'll end this. Is in business, when we break things down into smaller chunks, as opposed to trying to do what we call, the myth of multitasking. And I'll just say that, we'll talk about that another time. But the myth of multitasking, where we have a bunch of different things that we're doing, we're using sort of a blitzkrieg sort of technique, and we're just trying to blitz all these different activities where, like octopus with roller skates, we're going 1,000,000 miles a minute, on 10 different tasks, and we feel so accomplished because we're so busy and we're doing so much. That is actually less effective and less productive, honestly, and it's just factually, when we're looking at actual productivity and what we can actually get accomplished, as opposed to breaking into smaller tasks, attacking one task at a time, focusing, follow one course until successful. a little acronym that I love. Focusing in, attacking those small tasks and knocking them out, boom, 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 boom. We're actually able to move faster than trying to accomplish 10 things at once or 15 things at once and just running around, in a blur of activity. We're actually more effective, more efficient, more productive. Focusing on those one thing, setting that realistic deadline, adjusting our deadlines so that we're giving ourselves a smaller amount of time to accomplish these small tasks, but we're able to get those things accomplished. We're actually able to be more thorough in our work and go back and check our work, go back and make adjustments, as I talked about, with our business partners or with our clients when we're doing this, and not waiting until the last minute or scattering ourselves so thin that it takes all the allotted time that we have to accomplish this task, and we're just stressed out and we're running around crazy. It's just so much more effective. It is counterintuitive to the way most of us are raised and the way most of us kind of behave. So it feels uncomfortable at first. I know it did for me. It feels uncomfortable at first. But when you get the proof is in the pudding and you're actually able to accomplish things at a higher rate with less stress and with increased productivity, increased efficiency, it becomes very obvious that this is a more advantageous way to go about in a wiser way to go about accomplishing things. So I'll finish with that. It's about 15 minutes here, 16 minutes. So I'll finish with that. Appreciate it, the time. Hopefully this is helpful for everyone. Drop comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your experiences with slowing down to speed up. Let me know your experiences with focusing and multitasking, and whether it's what works for you. Some people love multitasking and they're able to achieve things at a high level and they want to continue with that. If that's you, that's fine. Let me know what you think about that. Share your thoughts with me. Give me your side of this discussion. I welcome it. A great book on this, I'll go ahead and share this book, is called One Thing by Gary Keller. And I like to share a book, so stick around to the end of these videos. I like to share books, and I'm going to continue to do that going forward. So if you want to dive into this and kind of dissect this, One Thing by Gary Keller. Another great book is called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Great businessman, millionaire. Gary Keller is another great businessman in the real estate industry. Jeff Olson is a great businessman in direct sales, multi-level marketing, creating huge companies at this point. Really great businessman who's made a tremendous amount of money. Both of those gentlemen, great books, but really powerful books, really simple concepts. The One Thing by Gary Keller and The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. So with that, I'm out of here. Have a fantastic week. I'm going to start putting these out on Mondays like this one. So it's a great way to start your week. Hopefully give you something to think about, some things to implement maybe, or think about, or at least think about in terms of your work day and what you're working on. So take care. Appreciate you all taking the time out to check this out, and I'll see you next time.